Good morning. It's Royal Ruby. The beach is my happy place. I wanted to give you an update on what's going on. I haven't done any videos for a while, but that's because I've been going back and forth to Pennsylvania. I put my house that my mother lived in up on the market in May, and then I had some work I had to do. I got an offer and they did a home inspection, so I haven't had time to really do any videos. So I just wanted to give you guys an update. Also, I have some really big news about van life. There are some changes going on in van life. You will not believe it when I tell you. Stay tuned. It's point number 2 of this video, but it is huge and you want to know about it if you're a van lifer, okay? This is the latest. So first thing I want to talk about is the house on Locust Street. I'm really excited. I did get an offer. Wasn't exactly what I wanted, but I could work with it. And now we're going back and forth. We had some repairs on the home inspection, and he wanted what's called a seller concession, which I will give him something, but not what he wants me to give him. So we're going back and forth on that figure right now, but we should be able to close it within the next 2 days. And then we're scheduled to go to closing July 17th. So I'm excited to report that. This house was the home my mama lived in. It was very, very difficult for me to sell. It was difficult for me to go into the house because she just passed in February. I had to do a lot in a very short time. So guys, I didn't have the strength to do that. I want to give God the glory right now, because without him, I could never have completed what I had to do up in Pennsylvania. I had to clean out that house, clean the house. She had 23 years worth of stuff in that house. I mean, it was a lot of work. Then I had to get it ready to sell, list it, get it on the market, decide who I wanted to list with, because I wasn't licensed in Pennsylvania as a realtor. I'm only licensed in Delaware. It was quite a process. And then, of course, the having people come in and look at it and listening to all these people tell me all these horrible things about my house that some people loved it, but then of course you're going to have negative too. And it was hard to hear because that was my mama's house. It was my house that my mom lived in. But yeah, I got through it. The good news is I'm here today to tell you the whole story. So anyway, I made it through. It was hard. So pray for me, guys. Pray for me that I get to closing on July 17th and I don't have to give this guy any more concessions than I've already given him. And pray that we get there without any difficulty, that there's no red flags that pop up or anything, that everything goes smooth sailing from now forward. Because that's my retirement. Basically, the reason I bought that house back in '95 was to have for my retirement when I was, right now I'm 64. I'm not planning on retiring till I'm 70 from real estate, but I wanted to have that home so that I could use it for my retirement money when I retired. That's the reason why I bought it. So I just am so happy because it's paid off and I don't owe any mortgage on it. So it's gonna have capital gain, of course, I'm gonna have to pay, but I mean, that's minor. So yeah, that's number 1, okay? Ruby sold her house in Pennsylvania. Number 2 is the big one, drum roll. I can't even do that. I used to be able to roll. I can't anymore. As you get older, try to do that, guys. Your tongue doesn't do it anymore. Anyway, van life. Here's the big news. Van lifers, like full-time nomads. I'm talking people that have been living in their vans, living in their vehicles for periods of time, sometimes 5 to 6 years. They're quitting van life. And I'm talking by the droves. They're just pulling out. They're pulling out of van life. It's unbelievable, but it is happening. And a lot of these YouTubers, these are big YouTube channels. These are people that have been doing YouTube, doing their van life YouTube videos for years. They have a lot of subscribers, but they're quitting. They're quitting van life. There's a lot going on out there, guys. There's a lot of changes happening, and some of it is not conducive for living in your vehicle. So we're going to go through some of those things right now, and I'm going to tell you why they're quitting van life. Now, most of them kept their vehicles. They want to use that for like camping and things like that, or like taking a trip. It's nice to go travel. It's nice to enjoy your camper van for those things like I do. I did a video 2 years ago why I'll never be a full-time nomad. And I said back then, 2 years ago, I have a home, I have a sticks and bricks. It's a tiny house. It's not a big house. It's a tiny house. And it's at the beach. It's about a mile from the ocean. And I live near Bethany Beach. I will never, ever be a full-time nomad because I live at the beach, first of all. And I have a beautiful home that does not have a high mortgage on it. So I'm pretty comfortable. And it'll be paid off in a little while. And I won't even have that to pay anymore. By the time I'm 70, it'll be paid off. So I won't have any mortgage payments. You know, I will live the retired life pretty carefree. But anyway, this is a huge deal, okay? Because number one reason why these van lifers quit van life, number one is financial, okay? Because the reason they got into van life is because the price of rent was too high, the price of owning a home was too high. It just wasn't cost effective for them, so they had to get. Some of them were homeless. People that are homeless can't help it. By all means, this video for the homeless, I completely understand why you have to live in your vehicle. And by all means, if that's a warm place for you to sleep, it's better than sleeping on the street, do so, okay? So let me first address that. I don't want those people to feel like I'm attacking them in any way. I'm talking to people that have a choice. You do have some income coming in. You could find a way to rent again or buy again if you really wanted to. And I can tell you guys, I'm a realtor. I know all about first-time home buyer programs. Most of you could buy a house. You just don't understand that you can. You know, you don't realize that you don't have to have a lot of money anymore to buy a house. You can ask the seller to pay all your closing costs. You can get into a first-time home buyer program with 0 down, and VA can go 0 down if you're a veteran, if you're military. There's all kinds of ways to buy a house. You do not have to live in your vehicle. If you have a little bit of income, any income, you probably don't have a whole lot of debt if you're living in your van. So yeah, that's available to you. Most of them got out and into van life because of those things. Now it turns out they're deciding the cost of van life is exceeding or equal to what it was living in a house, okay? And the reason for that is inflation. Okay, inflation is the number one reason. Financially, everything's gone up. Your gas prices have gone up. Your groceries have gone up. Your car repair bill, when you have a breakdown, the repair bills have gone up because the price of getting parts has gone up. Getting a hotel, if you have to get a hotel for a couple nights while your vehicle is getting repaired, that's gone up. Campsites, campgrounds, state parks have gone up. Let's face it, guys, BLM land is great on the West Coast, but for those of you on the East Coast like myself, it is non-existent. Yes, we have some national parks that we can park at for free. So that is a difficult thing when you have all those things combined going up in price. Your internet that you might have in your van goes up. Everything that you need for your van has gone up. That is huge. That's number one, financial. Number two is the climate, okay, the heat in the summertime. Wintertime is okay. Wintertime isn't too bad. I mean, you can get by, you can cover up, you can do what you gotta do, and you can move to a climate that's a little warmer. But in the summer, no matter where you live in the United States, it's hot. Unless you go to an elevation above 8,000 feet, you're going to be hot, okay? Doesn't matter where you are. And air conditioning systems are really expensive and they're hard on your electrical systems. A lot of these big ProMasters and Sprinters, they have them, but they pull a lot of solar, they pull a lot of electrical, they drain your system down, fans just blow hot air around, so you're pretty much limited when it's hot. And with climate change, the heat is getting intense. It is getting intense. And not just heat, weather itself has changed. I mean, it's just unpredictable. You used to be able to look at the Weather Channel and decide when you want to travel based on the weather. You can't do that anymore. It's so unpredictable. You might have a tornado happen over there, or hail, or it's just crazy. So that's number two, is the heat. Number three is convenience. I mean, you have these people that have lived in their vans for like 6 years at a time. They would just love to be able to go to a sink and turn on some hot water if they wanted it. Go to a toilet and sit down and just relax and go to the bathroom and flush the commode and not have to go and wrap up a toilet bag and tie it up and run to the bathroom, the restroom with that toilet bag, and worrying about getting the kitty litter for the toilet, and I mean, just all that. You can go to the sticks and bricks, you go get a hot shower, there's just so much convenience to living in a sticks and bricks. That's number 3. Number 4 is safety. Let's face it, guys, things are not like they used to be. The crime has just increased leaps and bounds throughout America. You have people shooting each other. You have people going to soft targets and shooting up the place. You have fentanyl like crazy in this country, which is causing a lot of drug addicts to steal so they can get more drugs. I mean, things have gotten so unsafe, especially for someone like myself. I'm a female solo traveler. Now, I only travel as a camper nomad, which is someone who just travels on weekends during the week. I might take a month-long road trip. That is the issue with everybody that's traveling. It's just not safe anymore to travel alone. I do it on a part-time basis. I have my dog with me, but it's, you got to have all kinds of stuff with you. Excuse me. To eliminate, any kind of safeguards to your safety, to eliminate, any kind of problems with you being out by yourself on a hiking trail or something like that. You want to make sure you have mace or bear spray with you at all times. Maybe even some sort of something with a blade on the end of it that you could stab someone with it. I mean, I hate to say it, guys, but times are different. Things have changed and it's not safe anymore. So safety is another thing. They're breaking into vans. They're stealing all their electronics out of the vans. It's crazy. The next thing is just being able to find parking anymore is a nightmare. They're cracking down on BLM land out west. They're closing BLM land because of littering. Now, they still have a large swath of, a large portion of BLM land available, but it's getting limited. And they're going to put laws in place now in California, I think, where they're going to really crack down on it. Like Joshua Tree is still going to be available, but there's going to be places that are not available to people to camp anymore. So you have the difficulty every day you wake up. You're thinking about, where am I going to park tonight? If you don't have a place where you park all the time, some people are fortunate enough to have that. Every day you got to find a new spot, because you can't camp at the same place stealth 2 nights in a row. You will get the knock on the window, guaranteed. So you have that stress to deal with every day, and let's face it, guys, your health is part of it too. These people are experiencing, the heat is causing a lot of skin things to happen to their skin. They're aging more rapidly because they're in the sun more than they should be, because let's face it, you can't always find shade, and you don't want to sit in your hot tin can when it's hot outside. It's hard to find shade. So that's really, really bad for your health. And then the eating habits that you have in a van are not ideal. I mean, you're not eating the right fruits and vegetables because you can't buy fresh produce because it doesn't stay fresh long in your van. You buy things that are canned and full of preservatives, and that's not good for you. You're not getting the exercise that you should get. Some people go to Planet Fitness and they get their workouts in, but it's just difficult. It's difficult. It's just laborious, and it's hard, and cortisol comes into your stomach. For women, when we get stressed, we retain cortisol, which causes our stomachs to get real full. I mean, there's so much negative stuff. Your hair gets weird because you're in the sun. It gets all dried out. It's not good for your hair. Now that the ozone layer is thinner and thinner, we get more of the dangerous rays than we did before. It's just a bad scene. So a lot of these people, because of the reasons I just mentioned, and there's many, many more that I didn't even touch on, are getting out of van life. I mean, they make it look so good, when they park up next to that beach scene and, everything's so groovy. They're not telling you the downfalls. They're not telling you how hard it is, because you won't watch their YouTube channel anymore. They're just telling you the good things. And trust me, there is a lot of bad things with van life. So understand that it is not a walk in the park, and it's not good for your health. It's not good for your psyche. You get a little paranoid when you're living in a van, because you're always like wondering, well, is this cool? Is that cool? You're just walking around like always in fear. You live in sticks and bricks. You could get broken into in a house too, I guess, but it's just not going to be as a target, because when you're a van, you're sitting in a parking lot, and especially if you're a ProMaster or a Sprinter, I mean, you probably got lots of stuff in there they want to take. Some people get that Simply Safe. You got to pay for that. Now that's a subscription you got to pay for every month. The internet's gone up, so if you have any kind of special internet in your van, that price is gonna go up. Everything is going up. You can't afford to do it anymore. So here's my solution. I have no respect for someone who comes on a channel and gives you all the bad things that are going on and don't give you solutions. Here's my solution, some of my solutions. Number one, find a roommate. Find somebody that you trust, whether it be a sibling, a significant other, someone that you could possibly live with. It could be a stranger, as long as they have an area of the house that's away from you and you can, check them out real good. Go into Facebook Marketplace, put an ad, I want to get an apartment. I really need a roommate. I can't afford the high rent prices. And then just check that person out really good. I don't care how you do it, guys, but there is a way for you to be able to get a roommate and you can share the expenses and you don't have as much to pay. Shop around, try to find a reasonable priced unit, even if it's an efficiency. If you're all by yourself, efficiencies aren't that expensive. Just get a little efficiency. But the other option, of course, would be to maybe get some leased land, like go into a mobile home park and just pay for that lease on the land. And usually the mobile home park rent is included. Sometimes it's not. But that's another option because that's cheaper sometimes than getting an apartment. The other option is call me if you're in Delaware and buy a house, for crying out loud. You probably have decent credit. And I'll tell you right now, I've been selling real estate for 40 years, and I can tell you, you can get into a house with zero money down. I know the veteran knows that they can get a VA loan, zero money down, but there's also loans available to first-time home buyers. You can get the seller to pay all your closing costs for you if you give them the right price. There's all kinds of creative ways that you can get into a house. You could buy a house, for crying out loud. You could go into a house to buy a house get someone to co-sign for you, or get someone to go in with you that you can count both incomes if you don't have enough income coming in. Whatever you got to do. The other thing, my recommendation would be is to do an adjustable rate mortgage right now because the rates are a little higher. So you may want to look at an ARM, which basically lets you buy the rate down and you can always finance out of it later. That's an option too. If you can't quite qualify at the current interest rates, they'll qualify you maybe at the first year rate on the ARM, and that would give you the house, get you into the house. If you're a military guy, you need to buy a house, period. If your credit is at least 650, I would say you want to have at least a 650 credit score. Why are you living in your vehicle? You need to buy a property. Even if you just buy a little house, it doesn't matter. I live in a tiny house. I don't have a big house over here. I have a tiny house, okay, guys? Just big enough for me. It's only, 1,400 square foot now that I've added on to it, but it was 800 square feet. I mean, it was really tiny. And then I added a master bedroom, a sunroom, and another bathroom. So now I have lots of outdoor living space that I enjoy 3 seasons out of the year, that I spend most of my time outside when I'm at home here at my house. Don't be a fool and think that you're going to get into a van, sell everything, sell your house, and get into a van and live life cheaper, because you're not going to anymore. Things have changed. If you see people hopping off the ship, guaranteed you don't want to get on the ship, okay? If they're hopping off, there's a reason for that. So before you make that decision, unless you are, like I said earlier in my video, homeless and you have no choice but to live in a vehicle, by all means, keep your camper van for camping, go on your road trips like I do, be a road warrior, but do not make this decision lightly. Make sure you pray about it. Make sure you talk to other people that have done it and are now living in sticks and bricks. Don't do your decision just based on watching a bunch of YouTubers with big beach scenes out their windows and they make it look all wonderful, because that's not really the way it is, not anymore. I mean, it is nice to be able to wake up in a different area and see a different scene every once in a while. That's wonderful. But I could do the same thing in my sticks and bricks by taking a trip in my little camper van, and I could wake up to the same thing every day. Only I don't have to stay in it. I could go home to my base camp, I call it. So that's what I wanted to touch on today, guys. I just wanted to make you aware of what's going on in the industry, in the nomad industry. Really tuned into it. I've been pretty much watching YouTube videos related to nomadic living for at least 10 years now. I've, done it for a long time, and I've seen the transition. I've seen the people changing. So I hope you guys learned something from the video. If you have any comments, please leave them below, and like the video if you like it. Give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel, because I'd like to reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. And the only way I'm going to do that is if you guys subscribe to my channel. And I want you to, because I have so much I want to talk to you about. I have so many gadgets to show you. I have so many cooking videos to do. Lots of fun trips we're going to take together. So if you want to join me and Ted, my dog Ted, that's his name. He's a little Papillon Chihuahua. He's not in this video today because he wanted to stay in the air conditioning. I have my fan on, but that's not enough for him because, like I said, it's hot. It's hot. Then you have these fires coming down from Canada, making everything look like all smoggy and smoky looking. It's kind of eerie. But I hope I helped you a little bit today. It is July 4th weekend, so it's going to be a busy weekend where I live. I'm at the beach, and it's going to be insane. So I'm not going to do a lot of travel. I'm just going to stay put for the weekend, ride my moped or my bike if I want to get around. I'm not going to drive my big vehicles anywhere today or over the weekend. But I hope you guys enjoy the 4th of July. Maybe you're at the beach too. Stop in and say hi to Ruby if you are. God bless you. Enjoy the week. Enjoy the weekend. Happy July 4th.